Toe? That is not what I meant. But you said you were making a video about Toe. No, Toe, the Japanese math rock band. You said you were making a video about Toe. This isn't on me. Whatever. Toe is a Japanese math rock band that started in 2000. If you say so. They released their debut EP in 2002 with their first studio album, The Book About My Idle Plot on Vague Anxiety. What a name. In 2005, and the band is known for their intricate instrumental sound, which most math rock bands are in general, but I think Toe does it very, very nicely. And the vocals are usually kept to a minimum, but recently I think they've been getting more into vocals, especially with their last album that came out in 2015. I think they've been delving into vocals more and more. Yeah, like I said, their last album was in 2015, and so it's been 9 years since they've released a studio album. They did release a live album 3 years ago, and they've had a couple singles since then, but Hear You is their last studio album, 2015. So yeah, let's just get into the review. So, from like the first notes of this album, you can hear that it's a step forward for the band. The drumming remains intricate and skillful, as you would expect from a Toe album, yet I think the sound is a lot richer and more full than on the previous album. The previous album, I think, had a very rigid and clinical feel to the drums. I didn't love the drumming on that. I thought it was very interesting, but I thought they could have made it more natural and more organic. It felt like they were using drum patterns, honestly. So, but this album, they improved on that a lot. It feels a lot more natural. And I really like the way that they incorporated the drums into each of the songs on this album. The guitar is the, repetitive but constantly evolving style that I love from Toe. It creates a mesmerizing effect, but it does on every album, I think. I think this album, it's a lot slower, though. The guitar slows down a little. There are quick sections, but the album as a whole, I think, is a slow representation of Toe. Before hearing this album, I was hoping for a more instrumental-based and less vocal album, because I personally didn't love the vocals on their last album or the album before that. I thought they were okay, but I thought the instrumental tracks were a lot better. But this album actually very pleasantly surprised me, and the vocals were really good. The vocals, I honestly thought, were very compelling, and I thought that they added a lot to the instrumentation, which before, my biggest critique was that they didn't actually add that much, or what they did add, I didn't like. But here, I think they generally add a lot. I think they add a lot of calmness that Toe isn't necessarily known for, but I do enjoy on this album. The vocals are also very laid back, way more laid back than they've been on any of the other albums. I think that it creates a very nice contrast in between the laid back and relaxed vocals and the complex math rock that Toe does on this album. And I think it creates this duality that works very, very nicely and in their favor. It's a very elegant album. I think the album is definitely Toe's most elegant and beautiful, if that's even a word that is used to describe math rock, which usually I would say it's not, but I think here it actually works. It's a very beautiful record. I was surprised by how pretty this record was. I was like, wow, the soundscapes they make are very, very intricate and well made. Toru Inaba, which is one of the tracks on this album, exemplifies this evolution very well. I think it follows a similar formula to the previous albums, but it feels a lot more organic, and the flow feels a lot more organic specifically. There's a lot more creativity and experimentation on this song and on this whole album, I think. I think the biggest change in between their previous work and this one is the experimentation, because they really change a lot of their sound, which honestly, I think they changed it for the better. I think they also learned how to build momentum a lot better than on some of their previous albums, because the momentum on this album, they start from like one simple point and they build it out into this whole soundscape that just enthralls you by the end. And that happens on almost every song. It's really, really interesting, and I love it. Now, math rock has a kind of, not reputation necessarily, but a tendency to be a little bit rough around the edges. Not necessarily the smoothest thing. It's quite sharp as a genre, but I think here they managed to smooth out the edges very, very well. They made math rock more subtle, and they made it smooth, which is very odd to listen to, but I liked it a lot. It also incorporated some elements that they've never even tried before, really. Close to You is like a stripped back Tetra by C2C, and if you don't like that kind of turntablism, then this song might not be for you, but I do. They have this one sample that they just manipulate the whole time, and it's really, really interesting. I haven't heard done very much at all in the rock space. Each song definitely has its own creative spin to it that will entice you to listen to that one over other ones, but I think they all come together in this one album to make a very cohesive piece of music, but also each song stands out on its own. It all blends together, but the songs aren't forgettable. Their most critically acclaimed album is For Long Tomorrow, and I think that this new album honestly builds upon what For Long Tomorrow did, but strips it back a lot and makes it a lot more accessible, honestly. I really, really like that. So, honestly, if you never heard of Toe, this album is the album I would suggest to get into them, because it's very accessible. I think people that even don't like math rock will get into this album. And if you listen to this album, I was just going back listening to some of their other discography. So this record, overall, I really like it. I think it's a step up from their last album and their debut, and honestly, For Long Tomorrow. Honestly, I know that some math heads out there might not agree with my opinion on this, but I think that the band's ability to slow down and add all these layers that they've built up throughout this entire album is really, really impressive, especially after a 9-year hiatus. Like, that's a long time to not make an album, and without a doubt, this is my favorite record from Toe. Toe heads might not agree with that, but in my opinion, this is my favorite album by Toe. Very, very good listen. The score is going to be an 88. I really like this album. Right now, this is my second favorite album of the year. That's going to change over time, obviously, but yeah, this is a really, really great album. Absolutely suggest it. So, yeah, go check it out. Tell me what you think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.